So also, since I've been reading some brokerage houses reports that have come in after the earnings, most of the brokerage houses are again and again pointing out to the higher competition that could pan out as a concern for the company. They do believe that the overall industry could see a shift in market share and the cost structures as well. I have discussed with you over the last many quarters, and you've constantly maintained that this will not disturb your current leadership as far as market share is concerned. Why do you think are the brokerage houses not able to come about? And now when they see price cuts happening, they are actually alluding it to the fact that this is happening to maintain the market share and to have deal with the competition at this point in time. What would you say, sir?
I think there are some, information which is getting misconstrued by the outset community, because what we see very clearly, 1.5 years back, we had taken almost price increases of about 25% in terms of the market. We have not even kind of looked at reducing prices to that extent in terms of what was the increases taken. And as I said, that we have taken just a decrease of about 3.6%, and that was taken more from a point of view of saying that we were looking at very high overall gross margins coming up, and overall margins were also pretty strong in terms of what is there. We wanted to give the right value for money price across segments to the consumer, and we wanted to kind of really invigorate demand to that extent. And it was not because of any competitive factor that we had looked at in terms of looking at any decreases. And these were the decreases which were done even before competition, the new competition really put up their price structures in the market to that extent. So I don't think so that there are any price decreases which are happening because in anticipation of any new competition or any other thing which is happening in the market. In fact, what we have seen in the past, that competition has always been there in the market. We have had very strong multinationals who have come in the market and looked at in terms of doing their foray to that extent. In general, what we have seen, competition does keep their prices 10 to 15% lower than our pricing to that extent. And I think that's a normal phenomena which happens in any market where there is a leader who's kind of really looking at premium pricing to that extent. And as we kind of go ahead, we don't think so that, there would be too many large changes in terms of the market structure which can take place overall in terms of the shares. As an organization, what we are very clear is that we are looking at newer revenues, newer areas, so that we can expand the overall paint market, increase the pie, so that there is space for everyone in terms of going forward. We are also looking at activating our advertising, marketing spends, looking at new brand ambassadors coming, looking at new areas, so that we are able to kind of give a fillip to the brand equity, look at the mind share in terms of the consumer. At the same time, give a lot of imperatives around the supply chain innovation in terms of what we are putting in the market. So I think we are clear in terms of a strategy. We don't think so that going forward, there would be any disruptions, but that is something which for the external world only time would tell.
Okay, so you've also mentioned the company's aim of reaching 1 lakh crore rupees revenue mark over the next decade, and you're now alluding to, you want to expand to newer areas, newer forays as well. If you could just give us a glimpse as to how will Asian Paints really pan out over the next 10 years, just a slight glimpse for all those fresh entrants in the investors community. Of course, we've had a stellar past, in terms of the stock market performance of Asian Paints, the kind of fundamental performance that year on year you've displayed on the earnings as well. For anyone looking at Asian Paints from the next decade's perspective, a fresh investor, first time investor, how would you really explain to them what is going to be coming forward?
So I think if we look at, first of all, I think some of the positives which are coming is the brand India. Today we look at definitely India as a market which is very, very strong. It is kind of really showing its muscle with respect to the overall GDP growth which are being projected for the next 2-3 years. We are talking of being the number 3 economy in the world by 2027 in terms of going forward. And I'm sure as the overall kind of indices kind of indicate, there is a lot of industrial activity. There's a lot of technology which is coming into India to that extent. And I think the foreign investments in terms of the overall brand India is kind of only going up to that extent. The second area is the consumption story is very, very much alive. We have taken now crossed China in terms of the overall population to that extent. I think the housing sector would kind of really boom in terms of from the point of view of people looking at their own houses coming strongly. The second house market is also kind of booming up in terms of the luxury segment coming up strongly. I think the disposable incomes are much, much higher in terms of what we see overall. And there is a general trend to kind of really upgrade in terms of really better and smart options in terms of what is going on. Given all this, what we see is that, the paint market would kind of really continuously grow. We are definitely seeing that the demand conditions would kind of really augur for definitely something like a 10 to 12% kind of a growth happening in the industry over the next 4 5 years, definitely in terms of what we see. And given this kind of a zone, we feel that the market leader would definitely get the advantage in terms of taking a larger share of this growth which is going to happen in the market. And that is what we are pegging in terms of going forward, that as we look at today crossing almost about 35,000 crores, we are looking at in terms of really galvanizing sales at the rate of almost about 10 to 15% going ahead in the future years. And that is the direction which we give, which would be pegged at profitable growth, which we can make. And especially, I think segments at premium and luxury level is something which we are focusing a lot of thought on. The whole area of home decor is a very big area for us in terms of what we are doing, because we think that the customer decor life cycle is something which we want to kind of really be a part of. And as we kind of go ahead, I think the whole area of homemaking would still remain very, very emotional. And we feel that the whole area of Har Ghar Kuch Kehta Hai would still be very, very relevant for the next 10 years as we see it.